Hey, folks, I am very excited about today's episode. I have a special guest joining me. He's a huge content creator on the raid scene, and this is his first time on the channel. You've seen the thumbnail, so you know who it is. It's Ash. Now, this was massive for me because 5.5 years ago when I started playing Raid, Ash was one of the first content creators I ever watched a video from, and I have enjoyed his content from that day to this one. So when he reached out to me last week and he said, "Hey, Colred, I love your channel. I really enjoy your content. I would like to do a collab with you. Are you interested?" I was like, yeah, I'm interested. Of course I am interested. And so we have two videos for you. One is on his channel. I don't know if it's up yet, but if it is, I will link that video in the description of this one so you can go and watch that. Please do so. I had a lot of fun shooting it. We talked about free-to-play life and Raid and tips and tricks and all sorts of cool stuff over there. Now on our channel, if you haven't watched one of these from me before, it's been several months since I did a collab. When I have a content creator on for the first time, I like to interview them. It's not really about Raid. It's more about who they are, their journey in content creation, in life, in Raid. Try to cover a lot of different topics. And I have to say, Ash was a really interesting guy. He was really genuine. He was generous with his time. And I think we had a fun and kind of wide-ranging conversation. So I hope that that proves interesting to you, because I think it's a way to get to see a different side of the content creators whose videos you typically enjoy. That's it. I'm really excited for this one. I hope you enjoy it. I am Colred. This is Colred Plays Raid Shadow Legends. Let's get started. Hello and welcome. We have a special guest here with us today. You know him, you love him. He is Ash. Ash, thanks for joining today, man. It's great to have you on the channel.
Colred, this is a big day, man. I am such an unabashedly huge fan of your channel here. I hate to get on and suck up immediately, but as I said, as I reached out to you to do a collab, and I have learned so much from your channel. And as I told you on mine as well, I think it is so unbelievably cool that we have really yourself and several other creators who are kind of emerging over the last year or two, and really upping the caliber and the quality of content out there for everybody. Just can't thank you enough, man. Not only do you have great knowledge of the game, but you are so incredibly good at articulating and conveying that knowledge to your viewers. Like that's the first thing that I noticed watching. My first video that I saw on your channel was the how to know who to 6-star next, and it's literally you just looking at like a Word document or whatever, right? Or a Canva file or something. And it wasn't necessarily the imagery or anything. It was just you. It could have been a podcast. It was just the way that you articulated things was so simplistic, but the ability to kind of digest these dense topics and convey them in a simple way that and kind of motivating too. Like I want to go do that in my account right now, you know? So my long-winded way of saying I'm happy to be here.
that was the best intro I think I've ever had, man. So thanks for saying that. I really appreciate it coming from you. And we're going to talk more about sort of the identity of our channels as we talk. Today's is the first time I have a content creator on and we do a collab. I like it to just be like a little interview. Just let's get to know each other. Let the viewers get to know you. So I'm going to ask you some questions. We're going to talk about Raid a little bit. We're going to talk about content creation a whole bunch. And so we'll talk about some of that stuff as well. So yeah, are you ready to get started? Let's just jump into it.
I'm ready, man. Let's do it.
All right. So, now you've been around for a while. I know you have another game. You do a Clash Royale channel. That was your first channel, correct?
Yeah, I started in Clash of Clans in 2014.
Okay.
And then just through the developer relationship was able to cover their newer game at the time, which was Clash Royale. So I kind of made my come up in the Supercell ecosystem.
All right. And so then when did you add Raid and why did you add Raid?
It's a boring. I'm sure this is how a lot of creators, come from other games start. But it was in a sponsorship deal, right?
Yeah.
So was doing like a full length video on my Clash with Ash YouTube channel for Raid Shadow Legends back in 2019. And whenever I do a full video on a game, like I hate doing a video solo. So I always try to basically profit share some of my sponsorship money with an organic creator from that ecosystem, because A, it's nice to actually, give back to that community and represent them a little bit. And B, it's nice to give my creators a vehicle or a conduit to, hey, if you're into this game, watch this creator. And C, it's so easy for me because I don't need to know the game. I can just ask questions.
Right.
so
Right.
so I actually had Chofly or Chosen Brad.
Right.
They recommended I work with him, so he came on like a 3-video dedicated sponsorship. And throughout those 3 videos of having to play a raid and having to work on my account, I actually kind of got hooked to raid. So here I am. I'm always, as a creator too, you always looking to kind of diversify a little bit. And I thought, hey, having a second channel could be fun. And now it's kind of became my, in a way, it's kind of became my main channel now.
Yeah, that's great. And it's interesting how you mentioned that, because there's like a domino effect going on here, because you and Chosen were actually 2 of the content creators I found early on in my raid journey. And I think if you 2 weren't doing content, I might have bailed out. Do you know what I mean? Because
cool, man. Yeah, it's cool to hear the full circle, right? You don't know the
right.
butterfly effect.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a shame that Chosen's not covering the game, because I really like the direction that he was going the last year or whatever, where he was kind of covering like more topical things, like a little bit of drama stuff and whatnot. And I kind of like it's not necessarily like for me to create. It's not my jam in terms of creating that content, but I am a unapologetic consumer sometimes for content like that. So I was actually watching a lot more of his content when he kind of took a break with Fateless and stuff like that. But it is cool to hear that kind of your origin story has some parallels there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, following that idea a little bit, I'm kind of curious, because I think each channel has its own identity. You were talking about how, like, I do a lot of explanations. I'm an educator in my professional life, and so I use that here in content creation. I think that your channel is one of the highest energy, most entertaining channels in the raid sphere. So in addition to like getting a lot of information, I can go to your videos and know I'm going to have fun. Do you know what I mean? And it's like I think each content creator kind of has their own little personality to their channels. And often we're drawn to channels that are different from our own. So when you are looking for a new channel, if you're just checking out other content creators, what kind of like personality types or content types are you looking to consume as a viewer?
That's a very interesting observation, and it's absolutely correct when it comes to me. Like I probably hate all the things that some segment of the raid population may think I am, right? I don't like over the top, like bombastic, silly energy. Like as a consumer, not that I'm not judging, certainly there's content for everybody out there. But I like more dry, like 90% of my consumption is documentaries outside of like YouTube and raid, right? Or even with YouTube, right? So like I'm into like, I don't know, like astronomy and geopolitics and history and stuff like that. So I like kind of I don't know, like a Ken Burns PBS documentary is like my type of content that I like to consume. So it is ironic in a way that like I have the edits and a little bit higher energy here in raid, but it all kind of emanates from back in the day, like way back in the day in 2014, 2015, making YouTube videos, I had very dry content, right? I tried to educate and I tried to really go in depth on robust strategy advice and whatnot. And it didn't, it was fine. And it was slowly gained traction and it was cool. But I remember honestly, like, this is kind of embarrassing to say, but I kind of like judged and maybe even like gossiped a little bit, nothing crazy, but like at the time back a decade ago with the guys about like kind of poking fun at the high energy. There was this guy, General Tony in Clash of Clans, right? And he was just like, hello, boys. And it's going like 10 out of 10 all the time. And I was like, dude, this guy is too much, man, too much, And he just got so many subscribers, got so much success and blah, blah, blah. And then, as fate would have it, I ended up meeting him a couple years later. And then throughout a few different occasions, I met him at events and whatnot. And man, this guy was like, first of all, very self-aware. He's like, dude, I know my content is not like the most educational out there and whatever. Like all the things that I really valued about my brand and stuff. I realized that like people watch him because he's fun and good energy, and there's a place for that in games. And like, who am I to freaking judge, So I kind of had like a little bit of a General Tony revelation way back in the day. And it's not like I have these auspices of am I ever going to start a channel again? Oh, it's going to be super high energy and whatever. But I decided to lean a little bit more into, listen, like this is so corny and it's going to sound so self-important, but I have this little platform. I have, millions of people that watch my stupid raid videos or clash videos on a monthly basis. And man, if I'm going to put some energy out there in the world with all this incessant negativity out there all the time, even if it's cringy, even if it's over the top at times, I'd rather do that, you know, given that I'm not a strategy wonk at these games anyway, right? So I would rather, at least to a certain segment of my audience, I'd rather be a breath of fresh air and an escape from the reality, which is the constant bludgeoning of everything bad and on the internet and social media and everything like that. So my long answer is saying that's kind of how I guess in a way I evolved the way that I have on my brand and my channel.
Yeah, and I have to say, I really appreciate that. One of the things I like best about going to your channel is you always open with a really positive opening. You know, you're giving out positive energy. You're talking about books that you've read.
Redundant though? Is it redundant? I always wonder that. Like, does it lose its effect if I say it every day? You know?
I don't think so. I think it actually, you know what? As a viewer, every viewer will feel different, right? And there's certainly sort of a evolution of how you view channels. So for instance, early on, I was like, oh, that's really cool. I like the positivity. And then after watching, 50 videos, I was like, okay, it is a little redundant. And then after watching like 200 videos, I'm like, no, that's Ash. That's the best thing about it. It's like whenever I go, it's not some of his videos that he's positive. It's every video, which means I know what I'm getting when I go to your channel. And you do cover all of that information. You do those guides, you do all sorts, you cover, the topics that are current to raid. So it's like, I can always find you covering a good topic, but I love the fact that you mix in movie reviews and book, this is what I'm reading. And you talk about the weekend you had with your son and stuff. Like all of that is great because I don't always go looking for like the niche Hydra team that's going to conquer Nightmare. Like sometimes I just want to enjoy the content and have it be positive and you always deliver. I mean, you always deliver to the point where last year I noticed around the time that mythical champions were introduced into the game that a little bit of negativity creeped into the channel. It felt like there was a
on
little
my end or the viewer's end.
On your end, where you were starting to get more critical of raid than you had previously. Did you recognize that maybe around that time, like raid was maybe making some missteps that were frustrating?
You know what, bro? I'm gonna spit some facts on your channel because I love you so much.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna. And this is a very vulnerable thing to say, but I'm just gonna speak truth instead of just giving you the cliche answer. First of all, raid is a very flawed game. First of all, right? Like, gosh, man, we're playing the most play-to-win damn game out there that you could possibly find, almost, right? Yeah. So, like, that's a decision that everybody is making, and whether they're not aware in the very beginning, they're going to become aware pretty quickly. And ultimately, this is not discounting all the pain points of raid, but like, you're playing that. Sometimes I think to myself, like I could be critical of raid, and sometimes in the comments, people will be like, "Of course you're going to be critical, you shill or whatever." You're like, people are just very angry sometimes, and like, but ultimately, if it's really bringing you that much dissatisfaction in your life or that much anger, you shouldn't be playing raid. You should quit raid. Like anybody listening right now who really hates this game, you shouldn't play this game. You know, like that's it. But anyway, that's not the facts. The facts are this: is it can become intoxicating to be negative as a creator, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing: is if I say anything negative about raid, what are the comments all going to say? They're all going to be like, Ash, you're finally, no other creator speaks up. Finally, Ash, finally you said it. Attaboy, we love you. This is why we love Ash. Ash, he's the best. And if I say something positive about the game, what do I get? F this guy. I was on the fence anyway. Unsubscribe. He's a shill. I can't take it. If he's getting paid by Plarium, he sucks. And what does Plarium message me when I say something bad about the game? Nothing. They've never freaking said anything to me ever. Like people can believe that or not believe that. They've never done anything.
Right.
They've never once been like, hey, that was unfair, Ash, or anything, you know? I've never GM'd me about anything I've ever said, right? I had a whole F Plarium and screaming at him for 20 minutes in a video. They didn't say anything, you know? So what do they say when I make a positive video about raid? They don't say anything. They don't message me, thanks for the nice video on us, Ash. We're going to give you extra perks. Or, hey, that was really swell of you to cover this in a positive light. Right. No, they don't say anything. So what does that result from my point of view, from the creator's point of view? The result is I get tons of adoration and positive feedback when I say negative things.
Yeah.
And I get nothing other than hate when I say positive things. People have it all wrong, man. When you get on the internet, It doesn't matter. It could be about anything in the world. It could be from freaking politics to best fruit channel, you know? If you're out there and being like saying something negative, it's easy to do.
Yeah.
Saying something negative and vocalizing pain points that some of the audience may share. It's important to do. I want to be clear. It's important to do, right? From time to time, of course. And that's one of our most important jobs as creators, is to be able to articulate and kind of almost aggregate these pain points for the developer, right? That's all important. But it can be intoxicating because you get so much love and people don't understand it. It doesn't take any guts or any, I'm sorry, I'm on such a monologue here, bro.
No, go ahead.
It doesn't take any guts. It doesn't take any cojones. No, nothing. There's nothing that it takes for me to sit here and record a rant or a negative video on Plarium. It doesn't take anything. It doesn't take any guts or pride or anything. There's nothing. I should not get an attaboy or a pat in the back. It takes a lot of guts, a lot of balls to get on a video and be like, I actually like this move by Plarium. Plarium's doing a hell of a job this month. That would be the scariest thing to say.
Yeah.
But whatever reason in this world that we live in, it's reverse. People give you all the hate and none of the credit the opposite way, where it should actually be the opposite way, you know? Sorry for my big long monologue there, but I've seen it for 10 years now. It's not just Clash, not just Raid. It was Clash before that, Clash Royale, and then Clash of Clans before that. I've seen it with every creator, and you can tell the creators that start to get sucked up. And I can also be vulnerable to it, right? You're like, damn it, people love me right now because I'm really letting Raid Plarium have it.
Yeah.
And it becomes tough. I'll end my point there. I think I made it, but what do you think? Well, how do you feel about it? Have you sensed any of that personally?
Absolutely. So one of the things that you brought up was that video that you did where you were complaining and like got so many views. Like 1 or 2 days earlier, I did a similar video. I think we were all feeling a bit, angry, and I did a rant video. It was my first ever rant video, I think, really, maybe my second. And
yeah,
it was
that one. I remember I watched that one of yours. Dear
Plarium
thing. They switched up the fusion thing, right?
Yeah, Dear Plarium. And that was the biggest video I've had in the last 6 months, like in terms of views, a lot of positivity, a lot of positive comments. And I will say, I think it's important to articulate those things from time to time, because we as content creators, we kind of we distill the community feeling. We read comments every day from our videos, and we have Discord discussions with other players, and we know how people are feeling in our communities. But we're the voice of that community. We're the megaphone. We have to go and say to Plarium, this is what our community is feeling. This is how we feel. I think that's a responsibility of a content creator. But that's not the main job of the content creator, right? The main job of the content creator is to face the community and help them, not to face Plarium. Our job isn't to, face Plarium every day, but every once in a while, we have to turn around and say, listen, this is what's going on for us. And so I definitely recognize that. And I do think when we do that, you get a lot of pats on the back, and you don't get as many pats on the back when you're just doing your daily job. And maybe you should. That would be, better. But I think that's one of the things, again, that's just the reality of the internet. Like, it's easy to be loud. It's easier to be loud than to be quiet, I guess. And I will say, I love my community. I think my viewers are really positive. I get a lot of positive reinforcement on every video. And it's, in a lot of cases, it's the same 100 or 200 viewers who are constantly saying those things. But it means a lot to me to know that they are watching and they're willing every day to comment and give me a thumbs up and say, hey, good job.
And you probably have too, beyond those 100, 200 people that always comment and stuff like that. Like those, I don't want to take anything away from that, because I remember I still have that, I still feel that way, but I remember how important that was to build like a foundation, a kind of a crew kind of together that, like, obviously it resonates with them and stuff like that. But just understand too, and I feel like this is another mistake that creators can make at times, right? Is understand there's probably thousands of people that watch you, man, that don't comment on videos, but it doesn't mean you mean any less to them as well, or they don't look at you as in just as a high or even higher regard. Because I'm one of them, right? Like, I've never commented on your videos, and you're one of my favorite creators. But moreover, even outside of Raid, my favorite YouTube channels I don't comment on, Right. So just know that, like, and the same thing on the inverse, right? The loudest complaints, sometimes this is very difficult, easier to say, that tough to do, but the loudest complaints, you know, it's just one person, and it's hard to say, it's hard for a creator not to read that, and the way that it will resonate with you makes you sometimes unfairly kind of cater your content, or you know, it just affects you a little bit. These things
Yeah.
affect you in the things that you believe, and the things about yourself, about your content, about the game, about the community, whatever it may be. And it's just, it becomes very hard to navigate sometimes, as you, I know I struggled with it for years, you know, on just reading too much into comments or not enough, you know. So anyway, but I agree with you.
Do you feel that, like, I know this can happen. I think that the thing that you mentioned earlier when we weren't recording was, you know, you have to have a thick skin, and you have a thick skin. And do you feel like, you know, obviously that's part of the job, but are there some days where it's like, thick skin or not, you just, like, the comments just hit you hard or hit you sideways and knock you off your stride?
Man, this is like such a soapbox video here, but like, it really bothers me about the world that we live in, man. It
Yeah.
bothers me. Well, it's so much easier to hate on stuff, than to be positive. It takes so much, again, more uh brave. It takes a braver individual to be positive than negative, but it just gets more and more acute every year that goes by, seemingly, you know. And I'm sure like social media and the internet has a lot to do with that, but
Yeah.
and a lot of other factors, right, as well. But I don't know, man. I don't have the truth is, I don't have that thick skin. I know some people out there claim to, but as you're experiencing, seeing on a daily basis, whether it's one or a dozen of not just critical, that's fine, critical comments, right? But like vitriolic or hateful comments directed your way, I feel like it's almost impossible to understand the mental toll that can take on you
Yeah.
until you go through it, right? Like, having strange, it's about walking down the street and having a stranger be like, "Yo, kill yourself, you suck," or like whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And even though like in a one-off, you can handle it. But the problem is we're not, most people are not stably mentally 24 hours a day the same, right? If I see a comment at a bad time, when I'm already going through something in life or whatever, and I
Yeah.
get one of those comments, it does feel, at this point in my quote unquote career, it feels like kind of just defeating more than
Yeah.
anything else. Kind of like, why the heck am I? Is this like, I almost think of my life before YouTube, right? And I'm just
Right.
like, you know what? Maybe I don't need these subscribers and these, you know, but make more money than I did back then. Like, what does it matter if I'm like miserable most of the time, you know, like during those moments of, you know,
Sure. Yeah.
of,
Yeah.
so yeah, man, it doesn't get easier. And frankly, there's like, for the first 5 years of YouTube, maybe more, maybe 6 years, I read not every comment, but I had this thing where I would respond to every comment after the first hour of an upload, right? And I stopped doing that years ago, because now I kind of graze carefully my top comments of each video, because just try to get my viewer sentiment. Uh, but I can't really do it anymore for my own mental health, man. Like,
Yeah.
there got to be a point where I was just like, it sucks because you're losing a lot. You're losing a connective thread with the community, and you're losing that direct feedback, and it's so valuable.
Right.
But also your mental health is valuable. and
Yeah.
and like, I know I'm very aware of like my place in like the raid pantheon of or the zeitgeist of creators and
Right
stuff
at the
like that.
top.
So
Right at the
I'm
top. Biggest
self-aware.
biggest
Yeah.
content creator in Raid.
I'm self-aware enough to understand like what the knocks would be on me and stuff like that. I
Sure.
get it, you know. But at the end of the day, man, I don't know. It's yeah, I don't know if I even answered your question.
No,
Like,
no, I get you, and
yeah.
I appreciate it. I mean, one of the
How do you
things,
feel about it? Yeah.
well, one of the things that I've learned, I've always had a thick skin coming from sports where you have like coaches screaming at you 24/7. Like, you know, it's not uncommon or weird for me to have people be critical of my performance, and I try to use it constructively. If somebody is disappointed with something, if somebody objects to something, I try to, like, at least consider their perspective. But at the same time, sometimes people aren't giving a critique, they're just being mean.
Yeah.
You know, they just want to, like, maybe they're having a bad day and they need to unleash on something, and this is the easiest thing that was in front of them to, you know, unleash on. So sometimes you get comments which are just like, you know, like, sometimes I even laugh. Like, I remember one video I did, which I thought was a good video, got pretty positive response, and one commenter just wrote the word boring exclamation points for like 5 pages. And I was like, you spent like several minutes doing that, and just unleashing it. And luckily that one made me laugh. But I think some people, don't necessarily recognize that it's not one comment that's really the issue. It's when you get 500 comments a video and you've got 100 of them are negative, you're seeing a lot of, go to hells in a very short span of time. It starts to make you think,
like, am I? Like, you start to, no matter how much self-confidence and understanding of the situation, and you start to think to yourself, maybe they are right a little bit about some of these things,
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's similar to you, man. Like, in real life, I feel like I do fine. People can insult me all they want, and like, I don't know, are we gonna like fisticuffs here? What, like, there's recourse. You can talk it out. You can leave. You can whatever. On the internet, it's just like they can just drop a comment. And for me, it was when like any of that stuff, I'm fine with, like totally fine with. But I got a handful over the years. It's inevitable, right? But I got a handful of serious issues over the years. Like a small handful, thank God. But like I had like a stalker type death threat situation happen where it had to be escalated like pretty big. This is years and years ago, not in Raid, in Clash. And then after that, I just got like, when, what the shame of it is, man, I'm not sure how much personal stuff you've shared on your channel, right? But I like to share a lot of personal things about myself, right? Like, I like to be, to some extent, right, an open book, because I like to relate to my audience a little bit, but sometimes I've noticed, I've learned over time, sometimes if you share something very intimate, it can really hurt you a lot coming back from those type of people that are, that just want to be nasty.
Right.
And that's like what happened to me, like around, I won't even get into it, but like very personal family things that were so vile that I could never, even to like my girlfriend or anybody, I would never just want to ever repeat them,
Right.
And it's like, and the sad, disgusting truth is I remember almost word for word a couple of those comments or a couple of those things. And I don't remember word for word the best comments I've ever gotten,
Right.
And this is years ago, So like, it's just really sad, man. It's just really sad that some people feel the need to do that, even if they disagree with somebody else,
No, I appreciate you saying it, because, I think sometimes, I'm going through it. I've been in the first year, I got 10,000 subscribers, and I'm like, I'm going through it, and, I'm looking ahead, and I'm saying like, oh, here's Ash. He's been around for a long time. He knows what it's like, is it different up there? And you're like, hey, this is something that we all go through every day. It's just part of the job. But there's also the reality of it, which is that, like, you have to be positive. You have to keep moving forward and doing that thing. And I guess, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, because this kind of leads into this question, was exactly that. How much do you share with your viewers? Do you feel like if you were going to give advice to a new content creator like myself about creating, protections for yourself and your family, for some kind of privacy bubble, like, how much of it do you reveal? What do you say you should not reveal? Is there any advice you could give me on that? Because as I just mentioned, I have a 6-month-old son, and like, he's going to be seeing daddy on the internet. And there are going to be people maybe at school even who know who I am potentially, it's like, how do you handle those things?
Everybody's obviously different and whatnot, in terms of like where that line is for your family. Like, I'll post pictures of like, if we go do something cool, sometimes I'll post a picture of it with me and my son. A lot of people wouldn't be comfortable with that, and I understand and respect that as well. And I don't, sometimes I do question myself on it as well, but in terms of like my personal info, like some people I feel like they're very protective, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, everybody has the right to privacy, right? Even if you're a public figure, like, we're here to talk about a video game, not about every aspect of our damn lives,
Right.
I always think it's funny when people feel like their favorite celebrity, not YouTubers, but like a celebrity owes them to tell them about things in their life. It's like, what? Like, they're an actor or a musician. They don't have to tell you when they're dating somebody, whatever it may be, I just feel like, man, that's a warped society that we live in if that's how we feel. But all that being said, though, I don't, I have no problem sharing my name and like the general region where I'm from or whatever. And obviously I meet a lot of people, I don't have like security guards or anything like that.
Right.
But I do take like common sense precautions, right? Like I do have obviously like security system and stuff like that, you know, and I think I'm aware of like I'm a D level celeb or an F level, but like
Right.
at the same time, I do get, you know, occasionally recognized, and I am somebody, I have had issues over the years. So it is something that you just want to be smart, but at the same time, I'm also not freaking, you know, like Tom Brady or whatever, right? I'm not
Right.
like I don't need to take it to extremes, right? And I can go about my day. It's a beautiful life because you get a glimpse of what, I guess, the other side of what some people might feel like, a little tiny glimpse of it. But
Yeah.
at the same time, you can go about your day and your livelihood and you'll never notice anything 99% of the time, you know?
Yeah, that's very
I
cool.
don't know if that answered your question, but just try to be
No,
smart, I guess,
it does.
right?
I haven't gotten recognized yet. I don't know that I expect to ever be recognized, but
Oh, it will
maybe, you
happen,
know,
man. It will happen. Yeah.
yeah, at some point. All right, let me just look through my list of questions here. I got a couple more for you.
Yeah, hit me, man.
Oh yeah, this is something I'm really interested in. I know you've got this channel, you've got the Clash Royale channel, you've got the AMG, right? So Aftershock, you
Media
got a
group. Yep.
lot of irons in the fire. You're a busy man. Do you have time to play new games? Like, are you ever playing new games?
No.
No, that's it. That's
I don't, man. I'm so out of touch with ironic because I'm in the gaming industry, right?
right.
Not on YouTube, but in my day job.
Yeah,
But I don't no, I don't really have time to play. I mean, listen, I could make time, but I'd be sacrificing something else. And my
right.
schedule is so right now, like pretty nailed in that I
Yeah,
don't play any, unfortunately. I wish I could. And sometimes, I don't know if you've experienced this yet, but like sometimes you miss the days where I could play a game, you know,
yeah.
like I could actually check out a new game. But what about you? Are you able to game outside of Raid?
Yeah, so for the last 6 months since the baby's born, I haven't, I didn't get the game at all. It was basically Raid and family and work, and that was it. But just in the last month, I've tried to make some time to reconnect with some gamer friends and play a game that's not going to turn into content. And you know, even if it's just one day a week, it feels really nice because I mean, one of the things that's great about gaming and has always been for me is I get to meet people from all over the world who share a passion. You know what I mean? And that's also great about being a content creator. You get viewers from all over the world. And people will ask me, you know, hey, do you play this game? Do you play that game? And I was like, no, I play Raid. That's what I do. I play Raid because I need to make content on it. But I have found a little bit of time now that we're kind of settled with the baby to just once or twice a week play a game with a friend. And that feels nice. I don't know if I'll continue to be able to do that, but I would like to at least model for my son what healthy gaming should look like. You know, and
I love that. Yeah.
And I think that, you know, the kind of obsession that I've had with Raid over the last 3 years is not necessarily the model that I want to show him, where it's like, oh yeah, I'm stuck to my phone 7 hours a day. You know, like I don't want that. So I am contemplating like how to balance the content creation aspect.
Come to the
of
dark
needing to
side
play.
and spend on the game. I just want all your viewers to hate me with most patrol.
But that thing that you said, that, you know, like you are willing to spend on the game because it frees up your time. Yeah, I think that is actually one of the best reasons to spend, because
it's like I told you then, and I'll say it again. It's almost taboo, but it's also just a fact, right? It's just like how I feel is that the reason I spend in these games is because I don't want to spend that much time gaming, frankly. You know, like, I do want to spend some time, but you know, there's other factors too, like being a content creator and all this other stuff. You know, like I need to either spend time or money in order to have the content for the channel, right? But still, even before content creation, you know, like way back in early days, 2013, 2012, a Clash of Clans, I was like a modest spender. You know, I'd spend like $100 or $200 maybe a month on that game, you know? So that's still like quite a bit of money. It's a lot of money for a video game, you know? But I wouldn't be like I am now. But for me, it's just like, it's what works for me. And I understand it's not for everybody, you know?
Well, listen, I could talk to you all day. I know we're running out of time here. So I really appreciate you coming on the channel and sharing all this insight. I think it's a great way, hopefully, for some viewers to see maybe a little bit of a different side of you, you know, and hear about what it's like to be Ash. And to end, what I just want to ask you, one last question is, so like, what's next? What's your plan for world domination here? Where are you going? You know, with your
I was going to ask you the
career?
same to end the video, so you'll have to follow up with your answer. But Man, I'm a creative individual. I have like a lot of things that I want to do. First and foremost, you mentioned like Aftershock Media Group, my company. We're 5 years old, and it's where like the majority of my time goes on a daily basis. So I want to continue to do a good job for our talent, for our staff, and our clients, right?
Yeah.
Beyond that, uh, I still love Raid, man. I still love Raid. So I don't have any real intent of changing much on the Raid channel. My old channel, Clash of Clans, I'm looking to reboot that in kind of documentary style videos. I have already been doing that. So working a little bit there for like a bi-weekly video. And then I always have like secret channel. I have the Champion Guides channel where I try to just do champions here and there. And then I have like a whole plethora of secret YouTube channels, because now in the back of my mind, I'm always like, okay, I almost want to treat it as like an investment, right? Is that, you know, in this world, you got to find things that you're good at, or you think you might have an edge over your average person, and then try to do that in a way that fits your life is best possible, right? So what am I good at? Well, I've grown like several YouTube channels pretty large. So I've kind of have it in my mind that I want to utilize any tools at my disposal. So like I'm really good friends with a lot of really good editors and designers and all these things. And I want to basically start a farm of, not with me in them, but a variety of different YouTube channels where I hire a script writer and whatever. So I actually have a couple of those live right now, but I don't want them to be part of my brand, so to speak.
Right.
So I kind of keep them on the side, and I don't do a lot of work. So I think that's what I have going on the public side, or whatever, on the industry side, I should say. But on the personal side, man, I'm not sure if this is what you meant for, but I want to trying to continue to claim the private time, the family time that I do still have right now.
Yeah.
Trying to be a better, like, I think I'm like, not to pat myself on the back, but like the most important thing in my life is my loved ones, specifically my girlfriend, Lindsay, as well as my son, Charlie. And like, they're my best friends. And I always want to challenge myself to do better for the people that I love the most. And also, I want to try to find other ways to give back than stupid chart opening charity videos on Raid. Like, I used to be very heavily involved with several local charities before YouTube, but I had to sadly let them go, still kind of donate and try to keep up with things, but not be actively involved anymore. I was on the board of directors with a couple organizations here, and I want to get back into that. And last but not least, man, I've been dying to, I don't know if you're a musician or anything like this. It's kind of a corny thing, especially for a guy in his 40s, but I really, really, really want to learn to play the piano, man. So
cool.
That's my world domination. Play some piano and make some secret YouTube channels.
I actually do play the piano, not much.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. I mean, I learned when I was a kid, and I would say I don't play that much anymore, but it would be nice to get back into. But all of that's great. And I will say this. Please don't ever think that the donations you make from the Shard Pull videos are stupid or silly in any way. That is an absolutely fantastic use of the platform. And I just think you're modeling really good behavior in terms of like figuring out how to give back in whatever way you can. And we both talked about, being dads and modeling for our sons. And I think you should be very proud of that fact. So thank you for adding that to the community, because I think it's great to see.
No, I appreciate it. I can understand. Like, I get comments every time I do it. Like, dude, why are you trying to be like some white knight here? Why are you trying to like whatever? And I understand that, because it feels like not very altruistic or selfish altruism, right? To be like, yeah, and we're also donating to charity again. But at the same time, I do think, and I'm a firm believer of this, or otherwise I wouldn't do it. Even though that's a valid criticism, I think that the good, in terms of talking about this and to your point, like I have younger viewers too, right? Like, yeah. I think it outweighs any of this, the valid cynicism or skepticism as well,
And I guarantee you the people who benefit from those donations don't care why you made them.
Indeed.
Right?
Indeed.
They're going to benefit the same way.
What are your goals, man? You're a dad to a 6-month, your first child. Yeah. You're taking off while you're on YouTube. Are you still at your day job right now?
I am, although I'm only doing it about half-time, because I've been taking some hours to, try to be a dad and try to do this
a little bit.
Yeah. So
do you want to go full-time? And is that scary as a new dad to go full-time on this weird world of YouTube?
It's incredibly scary. It's really stressful and difficult to do. I would love to go full-time on YouTube. I think my plan is, I have other outlets, I think, other than just this channel. I'm a storyteller. I would like to get into some kind of storytelling channel, you know, whether that's like a visual media or whatever, I don't know, but I would like to do some non-gaming thing that's more creative for me, because I think that would be fulfilling and maybe that
Cool.
might be beneficial. I don't know. So yeah, like you, I've kind of got some ideas out there, some other channels that I'm thinking about, but I just haven't had the time to dedicate yet.
Yeah. Well,
And
that's the thing. When you take the leap and leave the day job, then
yeah,
you get a little bit extra time too. So you can try to diversify. But like similar to you, I did 2 jobs, basically full-time hours for maybe 2 or 3 years because I was kind of petrified of leaving
yeah,
that security of a career predating,
yeah.
create content creation. Do you have like a timeline that you're trying to do it by, or just kind of taking it as it comes and taking a wait and see approach?
We're just taking it as it comes. I think the big
Yeah.
thing is what happens when my wife finally goes back to work. So when she goes back to work full time, I'm going to be, you know, at home with the baby for half the day. So then it's like, can I do a full time job on top of half a day with him and still have my relationship with her and do all the other things and have the other
Yeah.
job?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
all in the air. But the goal, I think, would be to eventually leave the other job behind and put all my eggs in this basket, which is, like you said, it's a pretty scary idea to contemplate. Yeah.
It is, man. I would love to sit here and be like, take the leap, man. But there are considerations, of
Yeah.
course, and
Yeah.
it's weird because another thing comes with it too. It kind of touching on our one of the previous points that we made is about gaming, about playing different games. Like as soon as I went full time, almost like a snap. I had it a little bit before, but now when I went full time, it's never changed, never stopped. But it went from a feeling of baseline guilt whenever I'm doing anything other than
Mm,
working,
right.
basically, right? Like if I'm playing a new video game, I'll be like, dude, I could be playing Raid and actually making awesome content, but I'm playing a freaking video game. Like
Yeah.
this is like this internal monologue all the time going.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would just encourage you to the point on other video games, like respect yourself or respect that time enough to still, whether it's a video game or anything else, don't let yourself guilt yourself into just going
Yeah.
totally to the grind, because that's when you burn out.
I appreciate it. Well, listen,
Yeah,
Ash, thanks so much for coming on and talking
of
content
course.
creation. We just did a collab on Ash's channel. I will link it below in the description of this video where we actually talk about Raid. So this
Yeah.
was talking about
I was
content
gonna say,
creation.
might interest your viewers who are interested in Raid.
Right, exactly. So that's over on Ash's channel. And yeah, thanks so much for being here,
Thanks, man.
Ash. And I've been Colred. Thanks for hanging out. I will see you in another video soon. That is it for this one, folks. A big thank you to my guest, Ash. First of all, for just coming on the channel and speaking so openly and candidly about all of the topics that we discussed today, but even more so for reaching out for this collaboration in the first place. On a daily basis, I have to say, it is you, the viewers, who sustain me. Your comments, your positivity, your responses, your support is extremely meaningful to me. But every once in a while, it's really significant to get acknowledgement from your peers, from your more experienced, successful, veteran content creators who have walked the path that you're walking and can look back and see you back there and say, hey, buddy, you're doing the right thing. You're going in the right direction. We appreciate your content. Keep going and you'll get there. So this was a big deal for me. I've had a few moments like this in my journey here at Colred Plays Raid Shadow Legends. And I guess I just want to acknowledge it. It's very cool. So thank you to Ash. Thank you to you to watching all the way to the end. And in the comments below, let me know 2 things. One is, do you enjoy these type of collaborations? And 2, if you do, is there a content creator out there you'd like me to do this with? Somebody maybe that I don't know of, or just somebody that I do know of and haven't gotten around to yet. So if you let me know who they are, I will reach out and see if I can get that done. Thanks so much for watching. I have been Colred. I will see you in another video soon.